Julio Cesar Martinez versus Ronal Batista. I think this is the first fight on the Canelo versus John Ryder card. I think this is going to be a good matchup in the flyweight division. This is a 12-round fight, so let's get into it. Let's start with Julio Cesar Martinez. 19 wins, 2 losses, 14 wins by way of knockout. Even if you don't look at the tapes, you look at their resume, right? Martinez is coming in and he's fought the tougher competition of the two. Martinez fought McWilliams Arroyo, which that fight ended in no contest. Arroyo wasn't able to continue after the head clash. He also fought Roman Gonzalez Chocolatito. And even though he lost that fight, he still went 12 rounds with a guy who won 41 of his 51 fights by way of knockout, and one of the best to ever do it in that division. Right? So he's a durable fighter. And I think in that fight, he came up a weight to fight Chocolatito as well. So it goes to show that he is a confident fighter and a durable fighter, because that man, he's got a chin on him. He's an interesting cat to me though, right? Because he'll switch from orthodox to southpaw throughout the fights. There are moments when he'll box a bit more, but then there are other moments where he'll come forward and try and make it into a physical, engaging, and brawling type of fight. Sometimes he just looks like he is just winging it to me, maybe ignoring his corner's cues. I don't know. It just looks like it to me. I'm not saying that's what he's doing, but sometimes I'm like, man, there's some strategy and tactic behind that. And there are times where I'm just like, man, this guy's just swinging and hoping to hit something. But I like that he'll take risks and he's not afraid to do so. And I like that because you have to be there are going to be moments in fights where you have to be courageous enough to take those risks at the right time. Martinez has 14 knockouts. Those knockouts are strong, right? He's got the power to change the tempo of the pace. He likes those brawling fights. He's a physical guy and he likes the physical fight, right? And that's how he baits his opponents coming in sometimes, and he catches them coming in. When he forces them to let their guard down and to fight his fight, well, that's when he will catch him with a right or a left or a body shot. And that's when he'll take over and seize control of the fight. But again, when he does do that, right, and he catches you coming in, when he lands a shot, he gets excited, sometimes a little too overexcited, and he takes that risk and he just goes for the knockout shot. And he might leap forward to try to get it done, and he leaves himself completely open for a counter. He's a little wild at times, but that's also part of why he's so successful in the way how he fights. There are times when he's predictable, right? And you kind of know what's coming. But then there are times when he's unpredictable and you're like, oh, where did that come from? Last year, he had 2 fights, right? He fought Roman Gonzalez Chocolatito. And as I said at the beginning, he moved up for that fight. And a lot of people were wondering if the power was going to carry up. And that was an intense pace fight, right? Lots of punches thrown, and a fight where you could see the experience showed as well. How Chocolatito fought at his age, man, was phenomenal. It was great. His punch placement, it was sharp that night. The combinations, how he mixed up his attacks and his approach. Martinez took some big shots. Some he didn't see coming, but some he saw coming, and he just stood there and took it. Martinez isn't a hard guy to find to get hit, right? He kind of plays into it. Not that it's a good thing, but sometimes when he gets hit, he'll just punch his gloves together and he almost gets kind of amped up. And it's almost like him saying, okay, now we are here. Now the fight has started. I'm not saying that's the approach that any fighter should take, but I'm saying he plays into it and it kind of gets him more focused for what's next. When he fought Chocolatito, he knew he needed to be active, right, against Gonzalez, and he was. Right? He let his hands go. Both men had success. Martinez was trying to box, right? And he had success, right? He was trying to box and pace himself throughout the fight, landed some good uppercuts and body shots, but Chocolatito also blocked some of those shots as well. But you could see that Martinez respected Gonzalez, right? But the pace and the pressure of Chocolatito was a bit too much for him that night, because he had Martinez fighting off the back foot a good portion of that fight. Chocolatito was just extremely sharp that night, and the experience definitely showed. Even when Martinez would switch stances, right? Sometimes when a fighter switches stances, his opponent's just like, whoa, like what's about to come next? But Chocolatito didn't waver from his game plan. That's the experience when you've probably seen everything in the ring. When you've had over 50 fights, you've probably seen it all. So that didn't do anything to Chocolatito's game plan. He just doubled down on what was working. But I did like that Martinez showed a lot of heart and never backed down from the fight. He had moments, but the moments weren't enough that night. In his most recent fight where he fought Samuel Carmona, Martinez was very predictable that fight, I thought. He wanted to just make it a physical, engaging fight, but Carmona wasn't trying to have none of that, right? That wasn't the fight that he was trying to have or fought. He was trying to box and keep things at a distance, and I thought he had a great game plan and boxed very well. Even though Carmona only had 9 fights, he boxed beautifully, strategically, and it showed that, man, this is a guy that you have to look out for, right? With that Olympic pedigree, his foundation is solid, and it showed that the moments when this fight was engaging on the inside, Martinez, right, he would seize the upper hand. But Carmona on the outside, man, he was controlling the distance and the pace of the fight, using his jab and never staying in one spot. You could see Martinez was starting to become a little frustrated, right? Because his punches were getting a little bit wider and wider every time that he couldn't close the gap. And I think Carmona hurt his right hand because he wasn't throwing much of that hand as the fight went on past round 6, 7. And when your output is low, when your opponent is punching more with volume, it's the judges like that. They're going to lean towards the volume and who might be considered the busier fighter. And when Carmona wasn't throwing as much, Martinez saw an opportunity and he ended up getting the win. But I don't feel like he made any adjustments that fight. And it was a little frustrating to watch if you're a Martinez supporter, right? Because you're just like, man, hey, man, if this guy's a little handicapped right now inside the ring, you got to make some adjustments and take control of him. But he didn't really do that in that fight. And when you even go to the scorecards, man, some of those scorecards were a little bit wide. I think one was like 117, 112, and it was a much closer fight than that. But that was a fight that I didn't feel like Martinez was fighting at his best, but a fight that he won nonetheless. Now let's talk about his opponent, Ronal Batista. 15 wins, 2 losses, 9 wins by way of knockout. This is the first time that I'm hearing about Batista. Most of his fights are in Panama, and this is going to be the biggest stage that he's been on yet. I like hearing about new fighters. The only part about hearing new fighters is you don't always get to see the best tape on them or the most recent tape. But the tapes that I've seen, he's got a good pop. He's got good foundation. He uses the jab well, changes levels to give different looks, and sets up his shots decently. He's not really a volume guy. He's not going to throw a lot of big shots. He takes what's given to him. He's got good head movement. You can see that he's athletic, right? He does some good things in the ring. He's sound in his movement. He's a good counterpuncher, and he's going to be looking to counter Martinez coming in. He's not a brawler. He's a boxer, right? He doesn't really want to stand there and trade shots. He can do that, but when he has done that, it hasn't been the most successful from the fights that I've seen. But he seems to have good conditioning, good cardio, right? He moves around the ring quite a bit. He changes levels quite a bit. And what I mean by that is, right, like he'll dip and then he'll try to come up with a shot and then he'll dip right back down. But, a guy like Martinez can take advantage of that because he can loop in some awkward shots that might catch him as he is dipping up. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out. It's going to take a lot for Batista to win this fight going into his opponent's home country. But obviously anything can happen, but he's definitely going to need to be locked in and ready for what's about to come his way. I couldn't find much of Batista in his most recent fight, but he won that fight by stoppage. But his opponent didn't have the greatest record either. So gonna be interesting to see what he does look like in real time. So who wins? Look, I like Martinez in this fight. I don't think Batista has the power to stop Martinez, nor do I think Martinez is going to respect Batista in this fight. Batista has been dropped before and he has lost by way of stoppage, and Martinez has the power that he can get a stoppage, but will he? I think he can. right? But I don't think it happens early. I think it happens in the middle round. So I like Julio Cesar Martinez to win this fight by KO or some type of stoppage. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you would like to support the channel, there's a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel and will be greatly appreciated. We recently just started a membership on the channel. I don't always get to do the suggested videos that you guys share in the comments, but if you become a member, you get video suggested priorities, meaning the video that you guys suggest, those rise to the top, and I will do my best to get those videos done for you. Shout out to all of the members already. I appreciate your support. Shout out to everybody that continues to check out the videos, share the videos, like the videos, and share your thoughts in the comment section below. I appreciate each of you for taking the time. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this on, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.